Well, the City Council of Minneapolis has just voted unanimously to abolish the police department. That's right. But don't be confused. This is just a first step. The people of Minneapolis will have to vote for something on the ballot in November. So the city just threw Black Lives Matter a bone and will have all summer to decide what citizens will actually be voting on. According to news reports, abolishing the police force will require amending the city's charter. A draft of the amendment suggests replacing the force with, quote, a Department of Community Safety and Violence Prevention, unquote. The new department would consist of peace officers and ensure public safety through, quote, a holistic public health-oriented approach, unquote. Let me guess. Those peace officers will be armed with safety facilitation devices that look a lot like guns. And the public health-oriented approach will involve stopping bad guys from negatively impacting the public health of citizens. Offenders may be remanded to aggression management spaces that will look a lot like jails. The bars on the windows could be called healthy boundary grids. Maybe they could paint the kindness patrol vehicle something non-threatening like this. Yeah, nobody is going to leave major American cities to permanently drown in chaos and violence. Minneapolis is just trying to buy time until it gets too cold to riot. All kidding aside, I think the policing does need a rethink, at least in high crime neighborhoods. I've always been a proponent of community policing. Jason and I talked about it in the conversation we posted the other day. I said that I was for greatly increasing the number of cops, and I didn't think that could be done by defunding the police. There has been much talk in liberal circles about Camden, New Jersey. This is the city that actually did abolish their police department. Maybe you've seen this picture. The white guy marching with black protesters is Camden's chief of police, Joe Wysocki. Wait, they still have a police chief? Camden is not a big city, just 1/6 the size of Minneapolis, but it had a big crime problem. Turns out that it also had a big problem with police corruption. So in 2012, Camden laid off its entire force and dissolved the Camden City Police Department. They then turned around and formed the Camden County Police Department and hired back most of the officers that they had laid off. Apparently, this was an end run around the police union that had inflated costs while making it very hard to fire a bad officer. Pretty clever. Here's a couple paragraphs from the Wikipedia page. In 2012, the entire city police department was laid off and required to apply for a position with the new county police department. The application process included a 50-page form, psychological testing, and an interview process. Scott Thompson, who was the police chief at the time, saw it as a way to hit the reset button and completely change how policing worked in Camden. He characterized the city force at the time as apathetic, lethargic, and corrupt. He wanted to transform how Camden officers saw themselves, from warrior to guardian. The new department took over policing the city of Camden on May 1st, 2013. 155 officers reapplied and were hired for the new department, while 65 officers did not reapply. The new department reached its full complement of 401 sworn officers on June 7, 2013, when 92 recruits were commissioned. The new force doubled the size of the previous city force. They doubled the number of police officers, and they did it by abolishing the police department. They wanted cops to go from warriors to guardians. That makes perfect sense to me. In the 60s, LAPD coined a phrase that is now on cop cars all over the country: to protect and serve. Their mission statement in a nutshell: busting the bad guys is done for one reason alone: to protect the good people. It's not about the bad guys. It's about the hardworking, law-abiding citizens. If you surround petty criminals with too much drama, you might turn them into local folk heroes, and you don't want to do that. In Camden, officers visit the schools and knock on doors to introduce themselves. And they do some things that might sound a little bit silly, like hosting cookouts and driving around in a good humor truck handing out ice cream. That may be taking things too far, but I don't know, maybe not. In my view, the biggest single problem is boys growing up without admirable male role models. If there are no mature men in a boy's life, he will pattern himself after whatever dominant males are handy, and those are liable to be gang leaders. A good reimagining of the police must put strong males into contact with these rudderless boys. And if the boys see the police enforcing the rules, then maybe it's appropriate to see them handing out free ice cream once in a while. You really have to balance the carrot and the stick, don't you? My dad was the guy who whipped my ass when I did wrong, but he was also the guy who now and then, out of the clear blue sky, took his kids out for a treat, or just tossed us all in the car for a freeform adventure. He was the man I feared, but he was also the man who came through with an unexpected reward from time to time. I understood that my dad was tough on me because he cared about me. If a cop is going to serve as a role model, he has to be respected, but he also has to come off as a human being. Camden is far from an unqualified success. Violent crime is down 42% from its highest point before the change-up, but a lot of problems still plague that small city across the Delaware from Philadelphia, and much of that stems from stubborn high unemployment numbers and urban blight. This was once a city filled with manufacturing jobs. Now there are hundreds of vacant factory buildings. Still, when riots were breaking out all over the country a few weeks ago, Camden managed to keep its cool. That says something, doesn't it? I'd like to see every rough neighborhood in the country crawling with police officers who know the names and parents of every kid they see, who know the shopkeepers and mail carriers and everybody else who also serves the same community. If this was the case in most inner cities, businesses would be a lot more eager to locate to these places and bring jobs with them. Steady work changes people. It makes people better, and it puts them on a ladder that they can climb as high as their determination will take them. So no rethink of policing, in my view, can be complete without a plan to bring business investment. Look, it's tragic that we have 2/3 of inner city kids growing up without a father in the home. And it's tragic that we've allowed a culture of entitlement to replace a culture of responsibility. But that is the reality at the moment. If we're ever going to turn that around, we have to first create a sense of shared destiny between all of the good people in these areas. And that has to include at-risk boys from an early age. These blue city mayors are scared to death of more violence and looting. They have to show some willingness to address the issue of policing, or we're in for a summer of destruction. I'm guessing that a number of these cities are planning something very similar to what Camden, New Jersey is doing. And I'm guessing that a lot of police officers would feel better working in neighborhoods where they are well known and appreciated as the guardians that they really are. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.